Good morning, shareholders and guests. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the third annual general meeting of Old Mutual Bula Tsela Retail Scheme Limited. By way of introduction, I am Zakani Clarence Mtengwe, the chairman of the board. In terms of Article 17.3 of the company's Memorandum of Incorporation, I'm duly authorized to chair this AGM. I am joined by Raymond David Fenner, the independent director on the board of the company. Raymond is also the chairman of the company's audit committee. As communicated on Wednesday, the 31st of July, 2024, this AGM is taking place by means of electronic communication. This is permitted by the Companies Act and it is being held in accordance with the company's Memorandum of Incorporation. We have retained the services of the meeting specialist, who I will refer to as TMS throughout this AGM, as well as Singular Services, who serves as our administrator. TMS is assisting us with the virtual hosting of this AGM. Singular Services will act as scrutineer for purposes of checking entitlements to vote at this AGM and for counting the votes cast on the resolutions proposed at this AGM. Please take note that in terms of Section 63 of the Companies Act of 2008, only persons whose identities have been verified to the satisfaction of the chairperson herself have the right to participate in and vote at this AGM. This extends to the persons who are in possession of a valid proxy form which have been filled in accordance with their notice of annual general meeting, and shareholders who are reflected on the company's register as at the record date of this AGM being the 6th of September 2024. Before we begin with the formalities of the meeting, I would like to hand you over to TMS to take you through some guidelines for the meeting. TMS.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Here with a few pointers on how to navigate the meeting platform. There are two ways to ask your questions. Participants, please click the raise your hand icon. Once you have been identified by our meeting convener, your microphone will be unmuted and you will be able to ask your questions. Participants may instead wish to submit questions or comments via the chat box using the Q&A icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Please type your question and click send. Your question will be published and answered during the course of the meeting. Only a verified shareholder or beneficial owners of shares will be entitled to ask questions during this meeting. A few pointers on how to cast your votes. All beneficial owners or their representatives who have requested the right to vote would have received a link to the voting platform to either their phone number or email address. Please click on the Vote Now link and it will direct you to the voting platform. Are there any beneficial owners who registered for voting but have not received access to the virtual voting platform? If you have not received the voting link, please use the Q&A button to notify the moderator who will attend to your request. You will notice that the voting platform contains all the resolutions which have been published in the notice of annual general meeting, with your votes automatically defaulted to abstain. You may vote on all the resolutions simultaneously by defaulting all your votes as either for or against, or keeping it as an abstained vote and then clicking on the submit button on the bottom of the electronic ballot form. You may also indicate your votes individually per resolution by selecting the relevant option for, against, or abstain on a resolution by resolution basis. Once you have voted on all the resolutions, scroll down to the bottom of the page and click Submit. A message will appear on your screen confirming that your votes have been received. Please note, once you click Submit, your votes cannot be retracted and re-voted. As such, please ensure that you have selected the correct option on a resolution, either for or against or abstain. The voting is open to online shareholders and you may exercise your votes anytime during the meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, TMS. Joining me this morning, we have a representative of our company secretary and our board of directors. We are also pleased to have representatives of our external auditors and legal advisors in attendance. Before proceeding with the formal business of this meeting, I would like to take a few moments to reflect on the following. I am honored to share that Bula Tsela is 100% Black-owned, of which 50.07% is Black women-owned and 22.58% Black youth-owned. Over 36,000 Black South African individuals, small businesses, and groups such as trust and stock firms qualified for shares in this transformative empowerment scheme, which bears testimony to our very clear transformation objective. The company announced its second cash dividend payout since inception to shareholders earlier this year. You will be receiving a cash dividend of 72 cents per share on or around the 30th of September 2024. This is a great achievement and an increase from the 49 cents per share paid out in November 2023, demonstrating that this pioneering Old Mutual transformative empowerment scheme is delivering on its promise to drive financial inclusivity in South Africa. The company's management team have been traveling to the key provinces with the Old Mutual on the Money team to deliver financial education roadshows to you, our shareholders. If you recall, at last year's AGM, this was one of the things I promised that we would deliver to. We will endeavor to have more of these financial education roadshows in future. I would like to thank Singular Services for their support at these roadshows, as well as Bowman's for delivering their services on a pro bono or free basis at each roadshow. Some of you may know that the number of applications received and the level of interest in this scheme far exceeded expectations, resulting in an oversubscribed offer. Due to the overwhelming number of applications received, not all applicants were successful or were even awarded the number of shares applied for. Some members of the public made payments without supporting documents or references. These applicants are unfortunately unsuccessful and are still owed a refund by ourselves. We have run radio campaigns to announce these and continue to drive financial education around these refunds. Please help us get the word out there if you know of any friends or family who paid for shares but did not receive a share allocation. This could mean that they are owed a refund by Bula Tsela. I won't keep you any longer, but before we get to the business of the AGM, I would like to thank every one of you for the interest shown in Bula Tsela, be it in the form of encouraging fellow community members to apply for shares or for the information communicated on family WhatsApp. We appreciate it. To our partners and stakeholders, thank you for your outstanding effort and time spent supporting applicants and shareholders on this journey, which has not gone unnoticed. We have truly delivered a broad-based, inclusive share scheme we can be proud of. Thank you for that. We now move to the business of the AGM. In accordance with Article 11.6 and 11.7 of our Memorandum of Incorporation, I'm advised by Singular and TMS that the quorum requirements for this AGM have been met, as there are at least one shareholder present or represented today, and the persons present at this meeting are entitled to exercise in aggregate at least 0.5% of all the voting rights capable of being exercised at this meeting. Accordingly, I declare this AGM properly constituted and quorum. The notice of the availability of the annual financial statements was given on Monday, the 22nd of April, 2024. The notice convening this AGM was made available on the company's website and Singular's website and distributed on Wednesday, the 31st of July, 2024. Consequently, the requisite notice for this AGM and annual financial statements required in terms of the Companies Act and the company's Memorandum of Incorporation have been given. I therefore propose that the notice be taken as read. Before we turn to the proposed resolution, I would like to give beneficial owners or their representatives the opportunity to pose any questions that they may have in respect of the business of the meeting and the resolutions to be considered in particular. For good order, I would like to deal with all the questions in a single session, if I may. Raymond Ferner, the chairperson of our audit committee, Gerdas Dixon, our audit partner, are present to respond to any questions you may have on the annual financial statements. I will also draw on the expertise of other board members where necessary. May I ask TMS to recap on how you can ask questions?
Thank you, Chair. There are two ways to ask questions. Participants, please click the raise your hand icon. Once you have been identified by our meeting convener, your microphone will be unmuted and you will be able to ask questions. Participants may instead wish to submit questions or comments via the chat box using the Q&A icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Please type your question and click send. Your question will be published and answered during the course of the meeting. Only a verified shareholder or beneficial owners of shares will be entitled to ask questions during the meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, TMS. Please, may I ask that you start your question by introducing yourself by your full name, confirming that you are a beneficial owner or that you represent a beneficial owner. In an instance where you represent a beneficial owner, please include the full name of such beneficial owner. Please, could I kindly ask you to ask no more than 2 questions at a time in order to allow other beneficial owners to ask questions. Time permitting, I will be happy to provide an opportunity for subsequent questions. So now I will open for questions.
Mr. Chair, TMS, at this stage, I do not see any raised hands. Am I correct, TMS?
That is correct. No raised hands at this time.
Mr. Chair, we have one question in the Q&A which is being answered at the moment. But I still don't see any hands, Mr. Chair, so we can give shareholders a few more minutes.
Okay, I'll just give a few minutes. If there's nothing, then we can proceed.
Mr. Chair, I think we may proceed. We don't have any raised hands. The Q&A is being answered.
There is one question, apologies, Claudine. There is one question in the Q&A. It is from Nontokozo, and she is a shareholder and she wanted to find out how the share dividends are calculated.
May I ask Raymond to help?
Can I answer, Chair?
Yes, proceed, Raymond.
Nonto, we basically receive dividends from OML twice a year. We then have to make sure that we cover the operating expenses as reflected in the financial statements. And then after that, we pay the preference share dividends due to OML, and the balance we declare as a dividend. As you will see in the current year, we had a substantial amount in the form of a dividend, and the balance allowed us to increase the dividend from 49 cents to 72 cents. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Raymond. Claudine, any other question? Raise the hand.
Mr. Chair, there is one more. Tala Motlong requests clarity on what is meant by against and abstain against a resolution.
Can you repeat that question?
The shareholder would require clarity on what is meant against voting against or abstain from a resolution.
What it means is, as a shareholder, you've got a choice to vote in favor of a resolution or to vote against the passing of that resolution or you may decide that you are not going to vote at all, which means you can abstain from voting. That's what it means.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And then we have from Ngobonsine Ngobo, how much is the dividend per share?
As stated earlier, the dividend per share is 72 cents. And it's payable on or before the date I mentioned, if my memory serves me well, was around the end of September. Any other question or hand raised?
Mr. Chair, Tala, thanks. That issues. Thank you for answering the question. We have a question which I think Lorika is attending to Mr. Stephen Pillay. Lorika, may we proceed?
We may. Just to clarify, we had an AGM in person last year, hybrid AGM in person and virtually. Mr. Pillay, we do follow a RSVP process through Singular Services where we confirm attendance. And even though people do confirm attendance, who actually arrives on the day, we have found is less. So to reduce costs and to enhance shareholder return, we are hosting the AGMs on a virtual platform, and we have found that this works. This will could be reconsidered by the board for future AGMs. So we will take your comments back to the board, and we will discuss this going forward. I hope that clarifies.
Mr. Chair, then I don't see any further hands or any further questions in the Q&A. We may now proceed.
Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to address your questions. We now move to the formal part of the agenda. We now review the minutes of the AGM held on 11 September 2023 on a page 10 basis. Should we have any objections to the accuracy of the minutes, kindly raise your hand. If no objections are raised or any amendments required, we will now take the minutes as approved, and it will be signed by me, the chairperson. Chairman, can you help me run through the minutes? Page 1, any amendments to page 1 of the minutes? Page 2? Page 3? Page 4? Page 5? Page 6? Page 7? Page 8? Page 9? Page 10? Page 11? Page 12? Page 13? That's the last page. Any amendments? None. Now I will take the minutes as approved and I will sign it as the chairperson. Let's continue. The audited financial statements of the company for the period ended 31 December 2023, including the requisite statutory reports, were made available on the company's website from 22 April 2024, as required in terms of Section 30, subsection 3D, and Section 61, subsection 8A of the Companies Act. In accordance with Article 11.18.2 of the Memorandum of Incorporation, I have determined that all resolutions shall be decided on a poll. May I ask TMS to recap the voting process and to explain how shareholders will vote on the resolutions? TMS.
Thank you, Chair. All beneficial owners or their representatives who have requested to vote would have received a link to the voting platform to either their phone number or email address. Please click on the Vote Now link and it will direct you to the voting platform. Are there any beneficial owners who registered for voting but have not received access to the virtual voting platform? If you have not received the voting link, please use the Q&A button to notify the moderator who will attend to your request. You will notice that the voting platform contains all the resolutions which have been published in the Notice of Annual General Meeting, with your votes automatically defaulted to abstain. You may vote on all the resolutions simultaneously by defaulting all your votes as either for or against, or keeping it as an abstained vote, and then clicking on the Submit button on the bottom of the electronic ballot form. You may also indicate your votes individually per resolution by selecting the relevant option for, against, or abstain on a resolution-by-resolution basis. Once you have voted on all the resolutions, scroll down to the bottom of the page and click Submit. A message will appear on your screen confirming that your votes have been received. Please note, once you click Submit, your votes cannot be retracted and revoted. As such, please ensure that you have selected the correct option on a resolution, either for or against or abstain. The voting is open to online shareholders and you may exercise your votes anytime during the meeting. I hand you back to the Chair.
And in terms of clause 15.5 of the Memorandum of Incorporation, 2 of the directors of the company, Insaf Duli and I, Tsakani Clarence Natembe, have been appointed as directors by Old Mutual Limited in its capacity as a holder of cumulative redeemable no par value Class A preference shares in the company. Insaf and I will continue as the directors of the company. Now we move to resolutions and voting. I will now refer you to each of the resolutions proposed to be adopted at this AGM. The full text of each resolution was included in the Notice of Annual General Meeting, and will also be displayed in full on the virtual voting platform at the time when a resolution is called to be voted upon. I will, in the interest of brevity and for ease of reference, refer only to the general subject matter of the resolution. I would like to remind you of the following voting threshold required for each of the resolutions. In order for each of the ordinary resolution number 1 to 8 to be passed, the support of more than 50% of all the voting rights exercised on the resolution is required. In order for the special resolution to be passed, the support of more than 75% of all voting rights exercised on the resolution is required. Now I move to resolution 1 to 3, which is the election of directors appointed by the board since the last annual general meeting. Ordinary resolution number 1 is to elect Bula Tsela as director. Ordinary resolution number 2 to elect Simpiwe Hemming Somjala as the director. And ordinary resolution number 3 to elect Raymond Fenner as director. Ordinary resolutions 4 to 6, which is the election of audit committee members, to elect the following independent non-executive directors as members of the company's audit committee until the conclusion of the AGM of the company. Voting will take place by way of a separate resolution in respect of each proposed election. Ordinary resolution number 4 is to elect Raymond David Fenner as a member of the audit committee. Ordinary resolution number 5 to elect Simpiwe Hemming Somjala as member of the audit committee. And ordinary resolution number 6 to elect Bula Tsela as member of the audit committee. Ordinary resolution number 7 is the reappointment of our auditors. To reappoint Deloitte as auditors with Cardas Dixon as a designated auditor until the conclusion of the next AGM. Ordinary resolution number 8, which is a general authorization, is to authorize each board member and the company secretary to do all such things as may be reasonably desirable or reasonably necessary to give effect to the resolutions proposed at this AGM. You may vote for all 8 resolutions, ordinary resolutions referred to already. We have got one special resolution, which is approval of the proposed remuneration payable to non-executive directors. To authorize Old Mutual Bula Tsela Retail Scheme in terms of Section 69, subsection 9 of the Companies Act, to pay the annual remuneration as set out in the notice of AGM to its non-executive directors for their services as directors. Shareholders, please know that on the notice of the AGM, we had one little typo within the special resolution. The table heading should read 2024 to 2025 and not 2024 to 2024. And those beneficial owners or the representative who have not yet cast their vote may proceed to do so now in person or by means of a virtual voting platform. I will allow a few further minutes during which you may do so. And TMS, please help me identify any beneficial owners who have not voted yet, so I will give them more time to vote.
Chair, if we could just afford shareholders another minute before we move to closing the voting platform.
Thank you. The voting platform will be closed shortly. If you have not yet submitted your votes, please do so now.
Chair, the voting platform has been closed. We can proceed.
Thank you very much, TMS. I'm informed that the voting platform is now closed. And TMS, you may display the voting results as soon as the platform is closed. I am pleased to advise that all resolutions have been passed by the requisite majority. Full details of the results of the voting will be published on the company's website and Singular's platform later today. As all the business of the agenda have been dealt with, I declare the annual general meeting closed and thank you for your attendance. Please take care and stay safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.